The Chiefs got up on the NFL in their Week 1 victory against the Texans. Let's take a deeper look at it. Welcome back to RGR Football. I'm Ryan. This is me going rogue on the Kansas City Chiefs, as well as the NFL and how it equates to the Chiefs. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like and the sub and the bell notification because we have some great stuff coming for you. And today's going to be a little bit different. New feature that I'm going to try to do as often as possible. This week, we're waiting on the All-22 film, so we have a little bit of extra time. So we're going to go through what I'm calling Chiefs by the numbers. It's a look at some of the most important stats that stand out, that give you a little bit of a look inside the inside game of the Kansas City Chiefs. And we're going to start right here, right now, in what I think is probably the most important stat that we could even get to at this point, and that's just how efficient the offense is. Clearly, they are the strength of this team, and it lets you kind of gauge about where they're at starting this week versus where they've been in the past. The first stat is yards per play, and this is an offensive stat. This is not overall the team. This is just specifically to the offense. And 6.2 is a very healthy number when you combine all the short yardage runs, when you combine all the plays that didn't go for completion. We saw a number of things, including drops and short yardage situations that didn't produce, and even produced some losses there, particularly for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But in the end, they ended up at 6.2 yards per play on the offensive side of the ball. That's significant because in the Super Bowl, they came out at 6.5. And you understand that they had to go with the deep wasp play. They had to make up some lost ground in some of those particular areas. So getting off to a start like this shows that not only was it a good matchup that they were able to exploit against the Texans, but that the offense is actually able to pick up where it's left off last season as well. And secondly, that comes to just how efficient the offense was. And I'm not going to talk about EPA or any of the really specific analytics-based metrics here, because EPA, I think, has a couple of things that can throw some of the analysis off when you just take it in a vacuum. But at the end of the day, it's about possessions. It's about how much you make out of the time that you have the ball, specifically when you're an offense. Now, it's also about limiting the opposition when you're on the defensive side of the ball, and that's honestly what it comes down to. And this is an ongoing stat that I think is going to be very key here in 2020. It was in 2019 as well. It showed some indications about matchups that really went a long way in explaining not only how something got done, but what the expectation should have been. And that's the Chiefs against the Texans scored on 2/3. 6 out of 9 of their drives ended up in points. That's a significant number. On the flip side, it was 4 out of 9 possessions for the Texans. And that gives you an idea of just what the pace was, that the running game actually affected what was on average, I think, 10.7 possessions per game back in 2019, shifting the look here in 2020 to show you that you can limit the number of chances an offense gets. That's a principle that the Titans have made their money on, and they did it again on Monday Night Football. So it goes a long way in adding to the overall effect of a game, but it's not the end. It is something that really depends on the personnel. And one stat stood out to me for the personnel group, and that is the rookies. Yes, we know that Clyde Edwards-Helaire had an explosive game, and LJ Sneed had a very good game on the defensive side. But you wrap all that together, and you're talking about 22 starters on offense or defense, and I'm not counting special team snaps here specifically for the overall, but 173 snaps specifically by the rookies. That's a little bit more than the average the Chiefs have been at over the last several years, which has been down into the 120s on average. This is a significant step because it shows you just how much contribution that the team is going to get from the rookie class. And this is a staple that I'm going to track all season long about how much the rookie class is getting in there. Obviously, that's dependent upon injuries. It's dependent upon situational football. There are a lot of things that go into that particular fact. But it's something that we want to see just how far, just how deep into the rookie class they have to get. We know the situation with the cornerbacks here following week 1 may necessitate bringing up another rookie in Bo Peep Keys to get him onto the active day roster and actually get him some snaps. We're going to have to see how that goes. As we record today, this is early in the week, and we don't have the Wednesday practice report. We don't know if they've made any additions or if they plan to move anything around, say, from the practice squad call-ups, etc. But right now, that's a pretty healthy mark for the rookie class to put in 173 snaps in week 1, and we'll monitor it going forward. On the other side of the ball is what I think is one of the most important stats that you can track about any given football team, and that is how well the defense produces pressure. It's not just about the sacks. You'll see if you run down some of the different sources. There's Stats Inc., there's PFF, there's the NFL's official stats. They all have slight variations on what they count a particular rep at. It's okay. I actually track contacts as well. How many times a defender makes contact with the quarterback before the ball's away. So that's sacks and hits. I think those are the most important two, that is. But overall, pressure rate really plays a large role in how the teams function and how the defense functions, especially when you're talking about having young guys in the back of the defense. And the Chiefs came out on 23 pressures on 40 dropbacks for Deshaun Watson, and that is a solid number. I think that that's great, especially for a first year out when you had to have Mike Dana rushing, when you had to have Tano Passanio out there rushing, the loss of Colin Saunders and Alex Okafor, and still be able to put up over 50% of the snaps. You pressured Deshaun Watson. That is a good outing. This is a stat that I track every game all year long. We're going to keep an eye on that as well, and I'll keep reporting back for you. But that's also something that helps you compare about how other teams do against common opponents, against common quarterbacks, against common offensive lines. So that is another way that we can compare the Chiefs across the rest of the NFL going forward. And the last thing is something that needs to be worked on, and it's not overly complicated. It's pretty simple, and I think it's a symptom of what we saw in week 1, that just the offseason process was so strange this season that you have to take that into account. So what we saw was 15 total missed tackles. This is per PFF. I think they do the best job documenting missed tackles of any of the sources that you can get them from. And given that we don't have the All-22, I'm not confident in charting it myself off of the broadcast. I like to have the 22 angles, and right now we don't. So 15, that's a pretty high number. We're looking to be down in the 7-8 range, lower if we can once we get the rookies up to speed and get a look at what we think the Chiefs will be overall once they've gotten all that experience under their belt. By mid-season, I expect this to be down around the 5 per game mark, and I think that's acceptable. I think that's something that lets them still play solid defense and not have to be perfect. The pressure to be perfect can sometimes bite you and make things worse overall. So those are the 5 stats inside by the numbers for the Chiefs in week 1. Hope you guys dig this. If you're not subbed yet, make sure you hit the like, the sub, and the bell notification right now, and turn your notifications on your cells. I'm going to have more of this coming forward, and as soon as we can get the All-22, Dan and I will have some reviews coming for you as well. We're going to have the game plan video every single week about how the Chiefs can go about their next contest against their next opponent and what our game plan is going to list out. And then we're going to have the tailgate video that Danila's going to do for you guys. So I'm pretty excited. The lineup's expanding around here. The staff's expanding around here. And I'm very happy to have everybody on board. So want to say thank you to you all for watching this one. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.